Hi friends, it's Belinda here from BMakingJoy, and it's almost the end of June. We're already halfway through 2022. So I thought this episode, instead of a tutorial, I will share with you details about what I've been up to in 2022 so far. I will share the details on the patterns I've published, some of the work I've done for other designers, some things that are still unfinished, some things maybe you haven't seen yet on my Instagram page. I'll add links in the description box below for any of the things I talk about, and you can find that description box by clicking on the down arrow, the little V, which I believe is just below this side of the video. Or maybe this side, because I don't know which way the camera flips. At the beginning of the year, during my last update, this shawl was in its testing phase. I've called it the By the Ocean shawl. And it's part of my Memories of Down Home series, a series that I hope to someday compile into a book. We'll see. This piece reminds me of walking along the shoreline back home, watching the sailboats racing by. And when I look at it, I can just hear the sound of the waves crashing against the shore. And I love this sea foam stitch so much. I've used it in a few of my patterns, and I have a tutorial for it on this channel here. In February, the Craft Yarn Council ran a contest, a month-long contest called the Great Yarn Challenge. And the first week, the theme was Decorate Your Space. So I created this, my company nameplate. It's done in stranded color work, or you could duplicate stitch the letters onto your piece after you knit it. I've got it glued to cardstock to keep it stiff, and a Toblerone bar turns it into a nice shelf sign. Or I could put it on my door. I could make it in a child's name and put it on their door. I could put it in a picture frame. I have the pattern on Ravelry with the graph done up for all the alphabet, upper and lower cases, all of the numbers, and many symbols. In May, I released the pattern for my Gingham Tablecloth. It was modeled after the Gingham Tablecloths that she made for us when we were kids. She had a whole lot of grandchildren, and I think she made us all one. So, of course, hers is just on fabric and cross-stitched. I didn't duplicate the pattern exactly because my knit version has bigger squares, therefore fewer squares. So I changed up the pattern only slightly. I'd reduced it from 2 colors down to 1 for simplicity. I've demonstrated how to knit the gingham pattern in 2-color stranded knitting, 2 colors at a time, in my tutorial on stranded knitting, which I'll link below. And now I'm working on a placemat set version, but I'm going to need to change the graph because it won't fit. In May, I also released the pattern for my turnpike top. I showed you my previous draft in last year's, or January's video, but I've rewritten it for a larger size needle. I've eliminated the extra stripe, and it made quite a difference using the larger size needles now on a 4mm, which means fewer stitches, less knitting, less yarn used, and a lighter fabric while still not being see-through. And then I'll skip ahead to show you the matching turnpike skirt that's currently in the testing phase. Made in the same DK weight yarn to a tension of 20 stitches to a 4-inch gauge, so 4mm needles for me. And I'm still looking for test knitters at the time of recording. I have a test knit running on Yarn Pond that I'll link to below. You can still sign up. I'm looking for knitters in Every size is written for 24 inches up to 50 inches. I'm looking for knitters to test the math for all the size, make sure the fit is right, and to correct any errors in the pattern so we can put the best possible version out there. Also, follow me on Instagram to find out when I'm looking for testers for other projects. I've done a doll size version of that skirt while recording all the steps so I can include a tutorial with the pattern when it's released. It starts with a cast on edge. I show you how to do the buttonholes, the folding line, how to join it together so that it creates a loop that runs an elastic through. I showed you how to do the turnpike stitch, and then I'll video how to put the elastic in and attach a button. So that tutorial will be included with the skirt pattern when it's released. And at some point in the next year, I will write up this pattern for a doll's version. But that probably means I need to write up a child size version as well. So that's things to do. In June, I released the Jane Pocket Halter Top. I chose the name Jane as in the phrase plain Jane because this is a very simple version. I hope to release a version next year with some more advanced details. The key to this tank top, pockets. It's double layered so that you can put your cell phone in there like some of the young ones want to do. I'm looking for my cell phone, but I'm recording on it. When I was on vacation, I carried my room key in it. The pocket's also useful for bra pads, is that what they're called? Or if one's had a mastectomy, knitted knockers fit in there nicely. If the mannequin didn't already have knockers. The pattern is written in various band sizes and various cup sizes, or 2 cup sizes, one for cup sizes A to C and one for cup sizes D+. The ties give it a forgiving fit for those of us whose bodies change fairly regularly. The project starts at this edge, the garment's knitted this way, and then stitches are picked up on the wrong side to knit the pocket. And I have a tutorial on this website to show you how to pick up those stitches. So I'll put a link to that pattern in the description box below. So that was all my pattern releases for this year. And you'll find a video here labeled 2021 A Year in Review where you can see all my previous patterns. And I have a coupon code for you to get 20% off all my patterns. Also this year I did some remakes of some of my previous patterns. I did some test knits for some other designers, and I have many works in progress here that I can show you. In January, I did another hometown hoodie for a friend, so it's gone. I can't show you that, but it turned out wonderfully. In February, I participated in Finish It February, which was an incentive introduced to me by Roxanne of Rox Knits in her podcast, her Casual Fridays podcast. So for this, the idea was to go through all your unfinished projects in the house, gather them, take an assessment of what you need to do to finish them, whether you want to finish them. Some projects I chose to frog and put the yarn back in my stash. Let's see. Some of them I did put aside to do another year. And some of them I decided to spend February working on and finished. So this doll, for instance, the head and the sleeper that all of my babies wore was just lying there waiting for stuffing. So she's finished. This on the wall is the Birdsong Afghan. I got the pattern a few years ago from lionbrand.com. The blanket was actually finished, but nobody was using it. So I attached I-cords to the top of it and hung it from a painted broomstick. One of my children painted the broomstick, but nobody can remember why. So that pattern is still on lionbrand.com if you search for birdsong afghan. My next video will be a tutorial on how to do I-cords. Also in February, all my TV watching was done sitting on the floor, adding the vertical stripes to this Maritime blanket. It's a pattern kit from Mary Maxine I got probably 4 or 5 years ago. The horizontal stripes are knitted all in garter stitch, and then the vertical stripes were woven through afterwards. I still need to trim the ends and hem the edging, which might happen next finish of February. My 2021 temperature blanket had fallen way behind, so it got finished during finish of February. And then I decided that for 2022, I'm going to do a temperature scarf. But as you can see, I'm already way behind on that. Also in February, I noticed that the Unraveling podcast that I listened to on Spotify was being interrupted randomly by knitting instructions. Eventually, I realized that this was a mystery knit-along. It started in January with their episode 127. So, startitis set in, and I cast on. It turned out to be this cowl. I finished it in March. And a key feature of it is that I think it's upside down. The top part has a series of purl bumps, dots and dashes. It's Morse code. This pattern is now available on Ravelry in Knitting Daddy's Ravelry page, and I'll put a link in below. In March, I test knit this flower design for double end knits. It's on her Ravelry page. I'll put a link in below. And my next yarn purchase will be more yarn for this because, you know, it's stupid expensive to send flowers. So I'm going to stock up on some more for Get Well gifts. And in April, while I was traveling, I kept a little pack of yarn in my purse and little shorty needles and made some hair scrunchies. And I have a tutorial video on this channel on how to make your hair scrunchies. In April or May, I finished this Junebug wrap. It's a pattern that I wrote last year, but I gave away my original sample, so I decided to make another one for myself. You see the stitch pattern looks like little bugs. This is my Haytime cardigan, another pattern from last year. I decided I wanted another one in a different color and a warmer yarn. But we're stalled because the yarn I need is at a friend's house. But I did make a lot of progress. In May, I started this solicitude wrap. The pattern by Justyna Lorkowska, a designer in Poland. She donates to her local food bank, which is currently helping Ukrainian refugees. And when I told my daughter about this, she said, well, you need to make it in Ukrainian colors. So we found the self-striping yarn, and it has the Ukrainian yellow and blue in it among the other colors. I love how it's turning out. I joined this knit along with River City Yarns, an online yarn company based out of Edmonton that also has a podcast here on the YouTube, their own YouTube channel, which I'll link below. And we've been having regular Zoom meetings to discuss our progress and share any tips and stuff. We also have, or they also have regular Zoom meetings on Monday night that they call a maker meetup, where people can join and share their project and get tips. I'm always knitting on many things at the same time. And from January to June, behind the scenes, I was working on these beach towels. I started with a number 5 bulky weight cotton from Lion Brand Twisted Cotton Blend. Then I did one in paint box cotton, a DK weight in the middle there. And then I did one in a number 4 worsted weight cotton by Karen Cotton Cakes. So this pattern is now written up for the 3 different yarn weights, because the different yarn weights require different stitch counts. The concept is grass gradually changes to sand and then gradually changes to water. So the pattern release will be July 1st, and it will include instructions for all 3 different weights of yarn. Somewhere along the way, I also began another rope swing tank top with the seafoam water stitch on the bottom and then a rope. Experimenting with color blocking this time. In Tarsha in the round doesn't usually work very well, but this is only 6 stitches. So pulling the yarn back to start the new row each time around is making an I-cord effect with the rope, and I love how that's turning out. So the back is finished. I just need to finish the front and join the shoulders together with a Kitchener stitch or a 3 needle bind off. And I've recorded portions of this for tutorial videos such as the seafoam stitch tutorial and a knot and rope tutorial that have already been posted on this channel. Around about this time, a friend who's also making the rope swing tank top asked for my help in how to add some sleeves to it after the fact. So I was discussing the possibilities with my daughter, and she suggested, well, just make me a crop top and then add sleeves to it. So this uses the same dimensions and gauge as the rope swing tank top did. And then I've been working on tutorial videos of picking up the stitches around the armhole, doing back and forth short rows on the sleeve, and then I'm going to add the seafoam stitch to the sleeves. So I will at some point write this pattern up and share the tutorial with it. Just last weekend I participated in the longest day knit along with Ann Budd in support of Alzheimer's research. This is her Faded Memories cowl. Fading Memories cowl, actually. And the project was we knit all day long, and we had regular Zoom meetings to catch up, encourage each other, share our progress. Yeah, it was fun. It actually took me 2 days to make this, though, because I'm really not that fast a knitter. I have lots of works in progress all over the house, and I just, whenever I sit down, pick up one and knit a bit at a time. So that's why it seems like I'm doing a lot, but I'm really not that fast. Thank you very much for all of your encouragement. You know, every click of a like button, every comment you make, every video that you watch all the way through really helps the channel to grow and really makes me feel good, because my mission is to make things that bring me joy and share them with you. And P.S. I have 2 more designs that I am working on. I can't really tell you much about them because they're for a contest coming up in the fall. So you'll see all that in November. Thank you. Happy knitting, or whatever craft you are enjoying. I hope it brings you much joy.